Hello everyone and welcome to our I Pick My Butt video. More Uno Mobile, and with the recent Community Cup, we got to watch some of the best players go head to head inside the game. But their playstyle might be a little bit different than how you or I play. So in this video, we're going to be going over some of these high IQ moves so we can implement it in our own deck and get better at the game. Now the Grand Finals was played by these four individuals, and I want you to take a look at the moves by M2 here. They have a great hand right here with 2+4 wilds, and the way this gameplay is going to work is +4s can stack on +2s, and +4s can also stack on +4s. So they just dropped the first one, which is going to work its way around and eventually end up on Sierra with +12 cards. And I think just about any of us would go and play the +4 here, but notice how they pulled from the pile and grabbed a new card. So why not just play the +4 and then call Uno? Well, with Sierra grabbing 12 cards, there was a good chance that she got a +2 or +4 wild. Even though she didn't, M2 doesn't know this. And the thought process is it would make its way back around, and right before M2's final turn, +2, +4, now you're behind. And M2 saved this card till last until they finally played it to win the first round of the Grand Finals. Saving your +4 wild is probably the strongest move you can make inside the game. It's not only going to protect you from +2s or +4s being thrown on you, but it's also going to give you the selection of any color inside the game, meaning it's an easy win. The next big brain move was done by Chris, the winner of the Community Cup. You could see M2 just threw their discard all for green out, and Chris is going to hit him with reverse, which luckily for M2, they were planned for this and had a wild card. Typically what's going to happen though is after that discard all and then reverse, you're forced to draw from the pile, leading you to pretty much lose a turn. Sometimes it's not all about the right moves, but also we can analyze the wrong moves. And you see both Hit Uno and M2 are ready to Uno here, and then Hit Uno gets hit with a draw 4. Now the mistake that they made, they could have just taken 4 cards, but they challenged it in hopes of not drawing any cards. But when you fail the challenge, you draw 6 cards, which actually gave them 2 extra cards with an additional 10 points added to their deck. Now you can see that M2 here is about to get hit with a draw 4, and they're just going to eat it and take it. And the shift of the game went from Hit Uno and M2 being number 1 and number 2 to Chris and Sierra being number 1 and number 2. And you can see with having those extra 10 points, that puts Hit Uno in 3 behind Sierra, which doesn't really make too much of a difference in this mode, but in every other mode in the game, usually first and second are going to be considered winners. So my suggestion to you is if an opponent plays a draw 4 wild and they don't have a lot of cards, don't challenge it. There's probably a good reason why they're playing it. We saw a lot of people burning through the clock in this tournament, and this is a great tactic that's being used by Chris and Sierra at the moment. They're both very low on cards, holding the first and second place, and this is going to make it very difficult both for Hit Uno and M2. And you can see how fast they're playing their cards, where both Chris and Sierra are just taking it very slowly. Now the downfall of this is Chris waited a little bit too long. The game took over in an autoplay and threw his blue 5 down instead of his yellow one, and the cards got shifted around. If he would have thrown that yellow one down, Hit Uno would have thrown yellow, and he would have been able to keep first place. Now we'll never know if Chris was going to play the yellow 5 instead of the blue 5, but given that he had 2 yellow cards, I would say he would probably play that. But what we do know is whenever it comes to the AI playing, it will always play the color of the card on the table if it has one before switching to a different color. The final round was an exciting one in this tournament, and you can see here Sierra and Chris both need one more win to actually take the crown in this game. The problem was though is Sierra led with a +2, and you can see everybody else is sitting on a +4, which is going to bring a bad situation for her. I know these are high stakes and high anxiety rounds, so you can't blame somebody so much, but look at the amount of the cards that were taken here just by a simple mistake. And my suggestion would be is don't play draw 2s and draw 4s just because you have it. Always try to play it in a defensive situation. If it's the only card that you can play, then throw it. Otherwise, it could lead you in a lot of trouble like it did for Sierra. Now this is probably the craziest big brain move I've seen all tournament, and this is done by Chris. Both him and Sierra are behind, and M2 and Hit Uno look like they have a pretty good chance to take the win on this. But Chris has that discard all for the blue, which you'll see him play right here, and that leaves him with 2 red skips and an 8. Now, given that Sierra has just about every single card in the deck here and blue comes out, she's going to want to get rid of these high point cards, which is a blue skip, which works perfectly for Chris. Now, all he has to do is throw these red skips out. There's a good chance that it's going to end up coming back to him red. You can see here, though, even with the skip, he still has another one to play. It didn't matter what Sierra played there. It was going to go back to red anyways, leading him to be able to play his other skip. And then finally, she'll do the discard all, leading M2 you to not have anything to play, and this is how Chris wins the game. He could have dropped the card anyways, even if there was time, but he is the champion of the Uno Cup. And this is a great tactic to use when both you and your opponent across from you have a large amount of cards. Start throwing those skips out and see if you can just whittle down those cards as much as possible. I'm going to have a download link both in the description and the pinned comment. Give it a shot. Maybe we'll see you in the next Community Cup.